Alright, so let me just break it down to you guys real quick because I wanted y'all to hear everything that this man has to say during my podcast. Luis is a guy I met over at INVOKE, the immersive theater show I went to, and I freaked out so much about. Go check it out, link in the description. I hope you guys enjoy this video. He's talking about amazing ghost stories that he's had himself, other friends have had. I believe you get to hear the part about like Bigfoot and aliens we get to talk about too. It's really cool. And then a quick apology as well. The video does cut off. The camera died on me and I don't have an extra battery. I need to get one. So I had to like sit down for a while, let it charge, but the time that we rented the room for was running up, so I was like, alright, let's hurry up and do this. And we got done as much as we could as possible. And then it cut off again. But I hope you guys enjoy it and let me know what you think, okay? Alrighty folks, so I'm here today with a friend of mine. We went through something crazy, I can't even speak right now because of how nervous it makes me to think about that night. We went through something crazy together. Those of you guys who seen my INVOKE video, you remember how kind of shaken I was. I still am, just thinking about it, being next to this guy. He was sitting next to me the whole time at the show, laughing at me the whole time, and it's bringing back memories, so it's really good. Luis from Geeks and Ghost.
That's right.
Podcast. I've listened to your podcast. It was amazing. It's pretty cool. How you doing today, man?
Good. I'm doing good. Running around. Life is crazy. Trying to put everything together, and then I gotta go do this. I gotta run to this side of the city. And, I gotta do that. I gotta run to that side of the city.
Exactly.
So now that's fine. It's life.
Yeah.
So.
Amen. Amen to that, dude. So let's just jump right into this topic. What did you think of the show?
Of INVOKE, when we got there, we ended up, where was it? Hacienda Heights, I think it was?
Yeah.
And so everybody had to be dressed up in black. And I thought I was the only person there until I saw you standing by yourself. And I was asking you, are you here for this? And you were kind of standoffish because you didn't know who I was.
I didn't know who you were. Honestly, when you asked for if I'm here for Bianca, I don't know why it came up to my head, but I was like, all right, we kind of in the ghetto. Is Bianca like slang for like coke or something? So I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, so no, and then I had to explain INVOKE. There's a show going on. He goes, oh, yeah, okay. So once we figured it out, and it was kind of spooky, and, we went up there, and I wasn't expecting it to be what it turned out to be.
No one was.
It was different. I'm at a loss for words for what it was, but basically almost like we had to be in a circle, and we had to watch them contort, and the girls contort and move their bodies in positions that would probably break me. It seemed almost to, and I don't want to say it was, but it almost felt kind of satanic.
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
You saw the symbols on the wall, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. I've been studying anthropology. I can rest assured that they're not satanic. It's other stuff. But just because you don't really know about it, then you see it, and then like your mind kind of already goes to the method of like what you were raised when you were raising when you were a kid and your parents would tell you if you see that sign, it's a bad thing, So it kind of goes you right there, and then being in basically in a stranger's house, you know what I mean? Like in an environment you have no idea about, you just kind of like your guard's up a little bit. At least that's how I felt,
No, and I was the same way because it's a strange place, it's strange people. The most of them. Yeah. So I'm always on guard, and it kind of, once the show started going, I started thinking of that movie, The Craft. If you've ever seen it.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. No.
Watch that movie, The Craft, and that'll take you there to what we did that night.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like a horror movie. Came out back in 96, 98, somewhere around there. Interesting. Anyway, so but it was a good show. Freaked me out, but I had fun watching you because I could tell when we were outside, you were already a little bit freaked out. Yeah. And this wasn't something you were used to. No. Or you hadn't been exposed to it. You probably seen it on TV and stuff like that. So when the girl came up and she was looking at you and stuff like that, I just kept looking at you and I was like, oh my God. I'm waiting for you to get up and run out of the room. Yeah. And kind of find out you were close to that.
I was, honestly. It wasn't even because of her. She kind of triggered some fear just because I get I get scared if anyone comes near me, especially if I don't know them, actor or not. You know what I mean? If anyone gets a little too close to comfort, I'm gonna be afraid. But like I said, it's just what I said in the video too. Is just I felt something in that room, dude. That just made me really glad that I sat next to the door. So if it ever got too out of hand, I could just bolt it right out of there. You know what I mean? I looked around before the show started. I looked to make sure. All right, if I get up like this, I kind of played it off in my head. If I get up one way, I'm gonna be able to get out real quick. But yeah, no. Do you feel anything in that room though?
Now, when we went in there, I had been told, right? I don't know if you were told that this building is a 2-story building. The bottom floor is a vinyl records type of place. Yeah. And then the second floor is just an open room. Mm-hmm. And she had said that they had some type of hauntings in that building. I said, okay, well, let's find out. I was hoping to do some an investigation later on, and we didn't have the time. Yeah. But I remember leaving the house before I did. I had a voice recorder, which I usually take with me when I go on, ghost hunts or investigations, and that's what I use. Yeah. On the TV shows, you see people running around with cameras, and I don't want to be, bogged down with all that kind of stuff. Just a simple voice recorder. So I took one, put in a brand new battery, checked it before I left the house. Boom, all the bars lit up. I'm good to go. And I was hoping if I can, redo any investigation or something, I'll just record it for Bianca so I can put on, our show. Yeah. Went there, we did the whole thing. I think, what was it, an hour?
It was about an hour and a half, yeah.
Okay. We did that. My voice recorder was off the whole time. Was never on. And it's been one of my more faithful ones. I've been using it now for 10, 12 years, and I've gotten a lot of good stuff out of it. It's never failed me. Mm-hmm. We get out there, we go downstairs, we all start talking to, Bianca and some of the other members. And I said, oh, let me get my voice recorder out. Pull it out, turn it on, nothing. Completely wiped out. Damn. Now, supposedly, in the paranormal community, they say if there is a ghost or some type of presence inside, that they'll use the energy of either you or an electrical equipment or drain batteries for, to, I guess you could say, energize themselves.
To reach contact or anything like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Be more active. Depends on who you ask in the community. Everybody has a different explanation for what goes on because nobody knows exactly what it is. Yeah. So that's probably the second time that's happened to me. The other time it's happened to me was when I went to go do an investigation down at Tombstone.
Arizona? Okay, cool.
And that place is pretty cool. And I'll say this. Every time I've gone to Arizona, it's never let me down. Nice. Arizona is a place that wherever I've been, I've come back with some type of evidence. Yeah. So, but outside of that, no. So I pulled it out, completely dead. I explained that to Bianca. I explained it to you, and your eyes lit up.
Yeah, because that was basically proof. Because usually when I freak out, I try to convince myself that maybe I'm just the only one freaking out, and I try to reason with myself, thinking it's probably nothing. You're just freaking yourself out. You're paranoid. But then when you said that, I was like, no, this is real now. This is because I've heard that method too. That ghosts, they just drain out your batteries. You guys watch Zach Bagans and everything like that. They'll always say I just put a battery in this camera and now it's gone and stuff like that. It's just so when you said that, I was like, oh, this is like Zach Bagans. Oh my god, this is creepy as hell. Oh, it was freaky. It was I didn't know what to expect from that event. I've never once was told meet us at this one place and have it be dress coded. The only dress code was open-toed shoes, but that was for safety. Yeah. But being in all black, I felt like literally we were doing an actual ritual of some sort, and it was really uncomfortable. I grew up Catholic, so being part of that stuff is what the fuck, you know what I mean? It's really creepy, but
yeah, but no, like I said, but at Tombstone when that happened, it wasn't with my voice recorder. I had taken my daughter's camera, one of those small little ones.
Yeah.
And put in brand new batteries on that one because we were going to be there from, I think, 8 o'clock at night until 2 in the morning. So I'm pretty sure batteries will last longer than, a few hours.
Yeah. Put
it in, came back, got ready to start taking pictures, and my camera, the power was down to, a third.
Oh, shit.
1/3 of what was left in. I was like, these are brand new batteries, what's going on? That was the same time where, at that investigation, which is at the Birdcage Theater. If you've ever seen the movie Tombstone, if you see, well, let me give you, before, if you ever catch that movie Tombstone, there's a scene, probably within the first 40 minutes, where a bunch of cowboys go into a bar and they start shooting up the bar and pointing their guns up in the air and putting holes in it. It's called the Birdcage Theater. It's been around since 1880, and it's been owned by the same family since then.
Really?
And so you go in there, and there's bullet holes in the ceiling, just like in in the movie. But just to let you know, in the movie, none of that was filmed in Arizona. It was filmed here in Hollywood. So all of it was done back here. But the Birdcage Theater is an actual theater. It's owned by the same family. They're open to do ghost hunts, and there's always something that goes on in there. But yeah, if you ever go, that'd be a place to go check it out. You can do just a tour of the place. But in Tombstone, they have that scene where they fire it off, and I think if you've ever seen that show, Ghost Hunters, they've been on there. They had a camera almost like yours, and they had it setting up in this one location, and every time we'd go in there, we'd set up our camera to try to replicate what they did. And it seems that whenever we set it up, something's always turning it off. Completely wipes out the battery.
Wow.
And it's a real good type of camera every single time. And I remember I was walking from the backstage back in there, and I looked up, I saw the camera, and then right in front of me, poof, it just blew out. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? But I know I'm bouncing around.
No, it's
if I
cool,
do,
man.
let me know.
They're all interesting stories, so keep bouncing.
I just want to try to keep, on track.
Yeah.
So you lead the direction, we'll go that way. But going back to Bianca and them, I guess they said that the owners of that record store have seen things walking around in the background, in the record, on the bottom floor, and they've experienced things upstairs where I guess they said they hear something, or every once in a while they'll feel somebody like touch them or something.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any of that night. I didn't feel it. I didn't hear. But then again, we had the music going. We had the girls dancing in front of us. I had that one completely look me in the eye that one night.
Yeah, that was freaky.
So I was like, and then what's funny is when we got there, they gave us a cup.
Yeah.
With water or something.
It was something, but it was.
And they go, here, drink this.
I was like, hell no, dude. Like, see, this was like my first immersive theater ever doing. You know what I mean? Like I've done Zombie Joe, but then again, that's still a show, so you're not fully part of it. With this, they made sure that you did everything, because I was gonna try to pretend that I drank it, but they were like, they saw I didn't lift up the cup enough, and that girl looked at me, was all like, better drink it. I was like, oh shit. It's like I drank it. I was like, fuck it, Wu-Tang, let's do it. That was just crazy. That's what made it feel like that it was like an actual ritual, because they made you make sure you did everything to the T.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude.
Well, I was looking at the cup and I was thinking, oh, what the hell? And I'm looking at everybody else and they're doing the same thing, and they all start drinking it. So I go, I guess this is how that Jim Jones killed off his coat, by having everybody drink. So I guess, okay, I'm drinking it, and I'm thinking, what if you're drinking poison? You have no idea what's going on.
You have no idea, right?
You're just going with the flow. And I go, God dang it. So, what the hell, whatever. But apparently it was nothing, because we're still here.
We're still here, yeah. Damn, that was just crazy right there too, man. I give props to the one dude from Horror Buzz that was there. I forgot his name, but he was the first one to ever just drink it. He was just like, whatever, and then we were all just like, I guess, okay. Dude, like that was just some crazy shit right there, dude. Like, so let's talk about your ghost hunting career and everything like that. Can I call it a career, or would you consider a hobby?
I don't know. It's just
your journey. Let's
do that.
Let's call it a journey. Your paranormal journey. How did it all start? How did your belief in ghosts started? Did you did something happen to you where you're like, okay, that's a ghost, or were you just like, oh yeah, ghost? That makes sense.
I think it happens like that for the majority of people. They something happens, they can't explain it, it spooks them out, whatever.
Yeah.
Others it's maybe, I hear ghost stories, I want to read up on ghost stories, and then that way. But eventually I guess those two roads combine or meet somewhere, and now you're like, oh, let me investigate, or let me go to these locations and see what's here. And eventually somewhere along the way they end up having another experience. One of my friends who investigates out in Arizona, he goes, people ask us why we investigate. Most of the time it's boring, right? Because what you see on the TV shows is 6 to 8 hours of condensed into 30 minutes. Of those 8 hours, it's people walking around in the dark. That's it. Walking, sitting, whispering. Where they try not to whisper. That's one of the no's that they tell you. Don't whisper, because if a voice is heard, they want to make sure it's your voice, that's being loud. And if it's a whispered voice, they think it's a ghost. But most of the time, it's mostly just walking around in a room watching paint dry. And it's boring. And you're hearing a lot of people's stomachs, grumbling and growling.
Yeah,
and,
you're all pretty hungry.
I ate a whole meal before I came here, and it seems that's an issue everywhere. But yeah, that's what it is. Most of those times, you're sitting in the dark, or you're walking around and you're like, you hear anything? No. Okay. Do you hear anything? No. All right, let's go somewhere else, and then you shift. But there's been experiences that we've had. Like I said, I use my voice recorder a lot, so I have a lot of it at home. Some of the recordings that I've had from places in Arizona. The Queen Mary's haunted.
Yeah. That's definitely true.
Yeah, and I love the Queen Mary. Like I said, I work near there. I'll go there for lunch at times, but there's been times when I've been on there and there's a definite something that's here. One of the ones is I was talking to a friend, and her husband is on one of the TV shows. I haven't talked to them in a while, but I love talking to her. She's a sweet woman. And so we're the same distance like you and I. And, but she's sitting down, I'm standing up, and all of a sudden I feel 2 pulls on the back of my shirt. And it wasn't wind, because, it was inside the ship. And if it was wind, you could feel just, the wind will go over your clothes almost like a wave.
Yeah.
It won't do this.
Pull you, yeah.
So I told her 1 second. I thought it was my buddy. So I turned around, and there's no one near me.
That's scary.
No one. And if there was enough distance between myself and the remaining people where I could have seen that person at least run off or, heard something. No, it was nowhere there. I turn around, look at her, and I tell her that was interesting. She figured out what had happened. She goes, yeah. But it's stuff like that. We've heard that little girl that you see on TV, where they go into the pool area. Yeah. We've heard her, and where?
What's some of the stuff that she said?
Well,
if you don't mind me asking.
Well, from her, all I remember is hearing her voice. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Okay.
But I remember a lot of us were like, "Did you hear that?"
Okay.
It's one of those things because, no one saying anything. It's like, okay, we're recording, and one of the guys or the girls who are with us will say, "Hey, we're here. Do you want to say anything to us? Is there, do you want to make contact?" And then you try to be quiet and you give yourself like 10, 15 seconds in between each question. Because if they do reply, you want to catch it on the voice recorder.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you go to skeptics, and I hate that word, skeptics and believers, because it just seems too hard.
Yeah.
They're like, there's almost no leeway in believing or not believing, or you're a non-believer, whatever.
This is black and white. There's no gray.
Yeah, exactly. And so you go to a skeptic, and they'll say, "Oh, it's probably radio interference. You probably caught some signal from a radio station or whatever."
Or can a tape recorder do that? Like,
yeah,
that's possible.
It's possible.
Okay.
But that's how they explain it. But then they come back with, "Well, if I asked it, what's your name, or a specific question, why does it come back with the specific answer?"
Yeah.
So then that's where you start going back and forth. Oh, well, it could have been this. Well, no, it couldn't have been because, so that's where you have the fight.
Yeah.
Going between them. And by the time it's all said and done, one side's going to walk away saying, it was just this. The other side is going to say, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Almost like to what your friend was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I used to live in a house in Fontana that was, and I'll get back as to why I got into this.
Yeah.
That was mad crazy haunted. It was a 2-story house, and I'm all by myself, and it's just myself and this loud little chihuahua that we have. And 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden I hear somebody walking upstairs from one end of the house down the hallway all the way to the other. I look at the dog's following the trail of the sound.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? Here? And that's when that house started going crazy. But those are one of the experiences. But for me, when I got into it, I was always into, being for I always wanted to hear the ghost stories and see the ghost pictures that they came out with.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had an experience, I think, when I was 13 years old.
Really?
And that one was with, of all movies, which is why I still won't watch it to this day, The Exorcist.
Oh, God.
And so that movie, I think we can all agree that it's considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
It is. It's oh, God.
Saying that, I've yet to see that movie completely. Right? I catch snippets of it, and that's it. I refuse to watch it all. Probably because of what happened. This movie was coming out at 10 o'clock at night. I didn't want to go to bed, so I decided I'm going to go over here and watch it in the living room, because that's the only place we had the TV. I walk over there and turn it on. I put the volume real low, and I'm sitting right next to the TV, this close to the mic, because I didn't want my parents to know I was up.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we all do that. We sneak around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I don't want them coming out here and telling me to go to bed.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have. So we're doing, I'm watching the movie, and I hear a growl, like of a dog. Now, there was no dog in that scene. I don't even know if there's a dog in the movie. Okay?
There's no dog, but there are growl noises.
Okay.
So,
but
depends on what part of the movie you were at,
But in this scene, it was still the very beginning.
Oh, so you're like in the desert part and everything. Spoiler alert, guys, for those who haven't seen this movie after it's been out since, 73?
73, yeah.
Yeah, 73. The beginning part takes place in the desert, but there's no dog.
Yeah, but see, okay, the one movie he has watched.
Yeah.
So, but this scene, there was nothing spooky about it.
Yeah.
I can kind of remember, it was just the fammy talking.
Oh, okay.
But that was it. I don't know where it was at. I just remember that. So I hear a growl behind me. And I'm like, so I look over there and look over by the dining room, which wasn't that far. I mean, it's literally, you could see it. And I said, okay, well, I'll get up. And I went up and checked around. No dog. Okay, whatever. Walk back to the TV and take my seat and watching the movie again. Then I hear the growl. It's like, oh, maybe my parents got me a dog, because I've been wanting a dog, and maybe they were hiding him somewhere. I was checking the closet and the cupboard and under the kitchen, whatever. I couldn't find it. I said, okay, maybe it's just me. Go back again. You hear the dog growl again. I'm like, maybe there's a dog in the backyard. Snuck in. Let me go see.
Yeah.
Go back to the backyard. Turn on the light. I don't see no dogs back there. Go outside and look out the back gate, and no dogs in the parking lot or in the street. I said, I don't know. Walk back to the house, into the house, and sit down again. And I hear the growl.
Oh my God.
So I'm like,
continuously,
okay.
Man.
Yeah. So I go, okay, it's coming from the dining room again. So this time I turned on the volume, and I hear the growl one more time, and the volume's off. So I go, it's not the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So I get up and I go, it's under the table. All right. It's because we had a tablecloth. It's under there. My mom believed in these huge tablecloths that were like a blanket.
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't see the,
My grandma was the same way. Okay. You gotta like lift those things.
Yeah, exactly. So as I get closer to that table, the growl became different. It sounded like a regular growl, but like almost like with an echo behind it. And I was like, this isn't right. Mm-hmm. Everything in my body was saying, leave it alone. So then I turn around and just imagine my house like the letter T, right?
Yeah.
So the TV's down here, dining room's up here, and then there's a hallway right here.
Yeah.
At the end of the hallway is my room, and midway is my parents' room, right? But then there's a kitchen over here. So I walk to the kitchen, I turn on the lights, and then I walk to the TV, and I get myself in a running mode, mm-hmm. right? Because by now I'm completely freaking out.
Oh yeah.
So I go and I hit the TV, turn it off, and then I run, right? So now I'm running at the first half of the T to make a quick right to go up that hallway. As soon as I made that right, and I put my hand backwards to hit the light of the mm-hmm. kitchen, whatever was there, all of a sudden you could hear that behind me. So I didn't think it was expecting me to book it. I go running down the hallway, go in my room, slam the door. I still hear it, and then probably a couple seconds after I hit the door, and it slammed, all of a sudden I hear another slam, like something ran into it.
Yeah.
Dude, I was awake for like the next 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Oh my God.
Looking at that door. And for the next, I say at least the next 2 weeks to a month, I was getting just weird things going on. A week later, I remember I was trying to go to sleep, and I don't know if you did this in high school or junior high or whatever. We used to sell like these little products, for Christmas. I think it was during Christmas time when this was going on. Mm-hmm. And there was like a little pendant. There's a stand, then there's a wire clip, and then on the wire there's like a little glass thing that just hangs.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, just imagine it's like a pendant, but it's just hanging there, by itself off this metal clip. So it's not holding anything, it's just hanging there. So I'm going to sleep, and all of a sudden I feel my bed moving. So I'm thinking California earthquake.
Yeah.
All right, or at least a tremor or something. I get up like nothing, and I turn on the light, and I look at my mattress, and I can see the mattress moving. And I'm going, man, this is a long tremor. Mm-hmm. And so then I start looking around the rest of my room to see, what else is moving. Well, I look at that thing I mentioned to you, it's not moving. Again, it's super light. It should be moving because it's just hanging.
If it feels any shaking.
Yeah. It's not moving. I'm looking at other things in the house. I think I had a fishbowl, and the water in there it was still. So I look back at the mattress is still moving.
Oh fuck.
Right? And I'm like, this is one of those moments where you say, I gotta be dreaming, I'm gonna pinch myself.
Yeah.
I pinched myself and that hurt. Right? Then the mattress is still moving. I'm like, no, this has to be a dream. So I put my hand on there. Goes my hands.
Oh my God.
I said, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
I got my blanket, my pillows, and I went to go sleep in my parents' room. And I stayed in their room. I stayed in their room for a couple nights.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to my room.
Did you tell them like what was going on?
Well, not yet.
They were just like, why the hell does he want to sleep?
Yeah, exactly. I sleep on the floor, right?
I know that. Still, it's all like, why is he sleeping in our room?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So then, I don't know exactly. Again, within that 2 week time, 1 month time frame, I'm asleep in my room.
Yeah.
And somewhere during the night, I wake up, and I feel, because I was facing the wall, right? And I feel something is like looking over me, trying to look at my face.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I'm like this, the wall, and I just feel something's looking over me. So I'm like, so I thought it was my brother or somebody. So as soon as I turn around, or I guess whatever it was, figured out I was waking up, I start to slowly turn around to see who it was. By the time I turn around completely, and I sit up on my bed, I see this figure slowly walking out of the room. Right? And it walks out of the room, and I'm like, hey, you know, I called out my brother's name, didn't answer. I'm like, what? So I get up and look down the hallway, and there's nobody there. Right? This is a long hallway.
Yeah.
You know, and the pace that this thing was moving, it should still been there. You know, maybe by the kitchen area. I look down there, the thing is completely gone. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
So I close that door, and next morning I go to my mom and I go, hey. She goes, what's up? She goes, were you in my room last night? She goes, no, why? And I go, what? Did my brother come home? She goes, no. And I go, what about my uncle? Did he come home? You know. She goes, no, why? And I go, well, last night somebody was looking at me, you know. And I turned up and I looked around, and as soon as I looked, this thing was walking out that door.
Oh my
God. And I go, wasn't you or my dad? She goes, no. She goes, you're crazy.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So she didn't want to hear it, and that's what about your question, did you tell your parents? Well, after that, I think I stayed in their room, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
You know, when they went to bed, I went to bed.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be by yourself. It's understandable, yeah.
Yeah, screw that. So I was done, right? I'd already had that problem with whatever that thing was growling, had a problem with this bed shaking, and now I had a problem with whatever this thing was.
Do you think it might have been the same thing?
I don't know. Maybe. Remember how I mentioned sometimes there's people who are more open to things than others?
Yeah.
And have you seen the movie Ghost?
The one with
Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah.
Okay. Finally.
Yeah, we got another one, right?
Right. So I'm a big movie guy. So I love Hollywood and everything to do with Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So in that movie, remember where Whoopi Goldberg suddenly realizes that she can hear and see ghosts?
Yeah.
Well, imagine that. But now it's the opposite. You know, it's them trying to say, you know, help me, or can somebody hear me, see me? Well, if you're one of those people who, in my view, and there's going to be others who may disagree, again, in the paranormal community, there's so many different views on so many different things because nobody knows exactly what anything is, that they all have different theories and ideas. This is probably one of them, and so if it pisses anybody off who believes differently, I'm sorry, but, you know, that's my belief, and you'll have yours, and that's fine.
Everyone's pretty okay. You believe what you want to believe. You
So,
know?
I lost my track.
No, you're saying about the Whoopi Goldberg and...
So, but now let's say it's you. You know, if you're open, imagine you're almost like that light in the dark. And in the spirit world, like, boom, this one can see me.
Okay.
You know?
You can relate that to like how like Insidious is.
Yeah.
When they see like an open vessel, they're going to go towards that and try to...
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think that's what happened. You know, somehow I opened up or whatever, and they suddenly, that one can see us, let's go. And I think...
So would you consider yourself as like a medium then in that case? Or anything like that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
You know, maybe not. I've never gone out and really tried it.
Like you can't go into like a room and be like, oh yeah, like someone died here this way, they're talking about this.
Yeah.
And okay.
I mean, I've had experiences where I've gone into a place and I'm like, man, I just feel different here.
Okay.
Like there's somebody watching, or there's something here, you know, or say, you know, that location right there, that corner.
Yeah.
There is something there.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best I could do.
Okay.
You know, but it seems that whatever. Going back to this, whatever it was stayed with me, you know, because I would say that happened when I was 13 years old. Well, this thing, whatever it was, I guess to let me know it was there, would always shake my bed, right? It would just, because I could feel the bed move.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter where I was at. I'd go, when that happened, I lived in Southgate, but then this followed me all the way up to when I joined the Army and I was in Germany.
Yeah.
And I could feel my bed, hey, I'm still here. Then went off and got married, twice, and same thing. And then the last time it happened, I think, was maybe year 2000.
Okay.
So this happened, when I first saw it, probably happened back in, I'm just going to put 86, 85.
Mm-hmm.
So from that time all the way through to 2000, this thing was following.
Really?
And it would always shake the bed. Not a lot, just, hey, I'm right here. And I remember the last time it did it, I remember waking up and I said, you know what? This is getting ridiculous. You need to go. That's what I said. I said exactly that. Can you just leave me alone? I'm married now. Can you just leave me alone? Mm-hmm. It stopped right after that.
Okay.
I mean, if my bed has ever shaken, it's probably happened so far and few in between that I really don't remember anymore. But it wasn't happening like on a constant basis.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was one thing I wanted to bring up too, because I have a friend. She gets a lot of her advice from her grandmother, like how most like Latinas and do, like, you know what I mean? Like it's one thing that she said was that her grandma does, if she ever feels like there is a ghost present, that she yells at it and says like, hey, go away. Like, you gotta like show dominance and stuff like that. Treat like how you would treat a dog. You gotta show that you are the alpha and they need to leave you alone, this type of stuff. How do you feel towards that method? Because I've heard that, like, yeah, it works, and then I've heard that you might be yelling at something that's not going to take too kindly to that.
It depends on how you see it. Again, the paranormal community is a bunch of, back and forth.
Okay.
But my view, and I'm just going to throw out this.
Yeah, just this based on your view.
On my view.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm just going to let know that, others there are different views. You have some camps that say you don't do that.
Yeah.
Like what Zach Baggins does. Then you have camps that say, no, you can do that. But it's one of those, it always comes down to, would you talk to your friends or your family?
Hell yeah.
Or stranger like, yeah. No, because in some of those cases, I've always believed if you, can I cuss a little bit?
Yeah, I've been cussing this whole time, dog.
I didn't even know, but I've always believed that if you're an asshole in life, you're going to be even more an asshole in death.
Okay.
Right? Because what's to stop you now?
That's true. Yeah.
And if these, we'll say people, or former people, or ghosts, or whatever, if they know they're not going anywhere, if they're not going anywhere, good, they're going to hell or whatever that is on that side, why are they going to change?
That's true.
From what we've understood, or from what people have done, is when you die, supposedly there's we'll just call it an in-between zone. Mm-hmm. And in that zone, it's where you suddenly realize, I'm not like you.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're born, it's something completely different, And so when people go here, from what we can tell, and I'll explain, again, that's all a theory, is that they stay in this area. It's almost like you can either stay here or you can continue on, right? Now, when we've had people make contact, psychics or mediums, whatever, have asked them, what's beyond this zone? Is it hell or is it heaven? They don't tell us, right? They keep it kind of quiet. We don't know why. And again, you can think it's crazy, and I know the whole thing sounds nuts, but in some of the stuff I've seen and heard, I no longer, put it past it.
Yeah.
But what they say, it's almost like there's a holding zone. And if you want to move on, you can. If you don't, you stay here or you come back. Right? And in that holding zone, they go do whatever they want, say whatever they wish. But they can also come back here because some of them have done, I guess, bad things in life that they don't want to continue on. They refuse to move on to the next plane, wherever that is. Mm-hmm. That they would rather stay here and continue, and so they continue being the asshole that they were.
Yeah.
They're not suddenly going to change, It's just, it's just what it is. What it is. I mean, and I know it sounds weird, and the reason, we've had some people tell us this is what's going on. It seems that I've had that no matter what part of the country I've been to, and I've talked to people, about that, and they never tell us what's going on. They could tell, all they say is, it's either, go on to, I guess, heaven or something, but it's never really known. There's a layaway spell, you could say.
Yeah.
But they don't tell us what's after that. And so with psychics and mediums, they'll do that and they explain, but it's always been weird. And so if you start yelling at, if an asshole, he's not going to say, oh, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have others that are, okay, you don't want me here, I understand. I'm gone. But I've always told people, if you're going to do that, talk to them like you would talk to anybody else. There's no need to go off and be an ass, because some of them, you agitate. Some people go off and they start throwing holy water left and right. And I kind of tell people, don't do that.
No, not like right away.
Or ever.
Or ever, really?
Me, that's what I say. Because for me, in a lot of the instances I've heard, sometimes I guess it's worked, but I haven't really, all I know is that in the bad ones, it's almost like, imagine taking gasoline and just pouring it to the fire.
Okay.
Because some of them just get pissed on, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
And especially for those who say, oh, I love Jesus, or I believe in my God, but yet when they say it, it's not like they actually practice it. It's like, for example, let's say you go to church every day and you really believe in this stuff, and you're really trying to put power behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's something, but if you're just suddenly throwing, the power of Jesus compels you, and you don't go to church for anything, now you want me to believe you?
Yeah.
So there's that kind of stuff.
Okay.
People use, now there's things, skeptics will come back and they'll say something different. So it's all in your mind, and it could be the knocking in your house is probably your pipes. In some cases it is.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, people want to be haunted. People want their house to be haunted.
Yeah.
Because it's a bragging rights. And the new thing, or not really a new thing, but one of the big things that people like to do is, we have a demon in. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Because if you have a demon in your house, you're gonna know.
Yeah, you'll know, and you probably won't be talking about it at a Denny's or something like that.
Exactly. You're not going to be all happy thinking,
I
have a demon. No, you don't want one.
When, Ghost Adventures first came out and everything like that, everyone started watching it. I remember, going to school and be like, everyone's like, oh, dude, I think my house is on. I think my house is on it. And it was just all like, why are you telling us? We're just a bunch of, I don't even know what grade we were. We're just a bunch of kids. What? Tell the professionals that, man. Don't be wasting.
Well, there's really no professionals in this. If anybody ever comes up and tells you, I'm an expert, in ghost hunting, UFO hunting, or that's the one that you say, I'll talk to you later, because there are none.
Okay.
There is no expert in this. There are people who have more knowledge than others, but there's no expert.
Yeah.
Because, let's jump over real quick to Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Right? People, when I was growing up, Bigfoot was a flesh and blood type of creature.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's become where he's a interdimensional, where he can, you see him, but then where did he go? He disappeared. Or, he's a spirit creature. And my view on that is, why are you trying, and they say, I saw Bigfoot, but I think he's interdimensional. And I go, if you're trying to solve it, why are you trying to cover one mystery, Bigfoot, with another mystery
of what he actually is?
Yeah, where you're gonna try to figure out this mystery before you can even get to this one.
Yeah.
And so
you're just adding on more work.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. Quick thoughts on that. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
You know what? My view on this one too is, if you believe in one, you have to at least look at the other two.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the other two being cryptos, which is Bigfoot and Loch Ness.
Yeah.
And then the other one is UFOs. When I hear somebody say, "Oh, Bigfoot's that doesn't exist," I go, "But yet you're chasing something that you can't see in a house." So
okay, I feel you.
You see what I'm saying?
It's like you believe in ghosts, but you won't believe in a Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Okay, I feel you.
And I believe in Bigfoot, but there's no UFOs, and then what? It's almost like you're canceling one over the other because it doesn't suit you.
Those three big things, hell yeah, those shits exist.
Yeah.
I haven't had any experience yet. Fingers crossed that don't knock on wood, because I don't know how I've reacted to ghosts experiences not that well. My brother just recently moved up to Washington, and he said he's known someone that like reacted to Bigfoot. So when he told me that story, I reacted to it like if I saw it too. I haven't seen a Bigfoot yet. No. I want to though. Before I die, I want to try to go.
I've heard people say you don't want to.
Really?
Because they say it's almost like a PTSD.
Oh shit! Okay,
all of a sudden, you're seeing something, and this is from what I've heard. You're seeing something that shouldn't exist. You know? So it's everything in your mind is telling you, I've been told this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And even though I came out here looking for this thing, and this thing is looking back at me from whatever distance, they walk away different. I've never had an experience with Bigfoot one-on-one. The closest I can say is I'll give you my experience with both that and UFOs. Mm-hmm. The one with Bigfoot was, I was probably 9 years old, and at that time my brother was married to this other woman, and we all decided, hey, let's go camping up north. Yeah. I don't know what up north is because I was too small. I didn't care. I was just get me in the car and my toys and let's go. Tell me when we arrive. But I do remember the morning, and his name was Bobby. That was my brother's wife's brother.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so he goes, hey, I'm gonna go camp. I'm gonna go hike. So what do I care? You know, I'm playing in the dirt, jumping on the trees, and whatever else I'm doing. And so he goes off, and I don't know how long he was gone. Mm-hmm. All I remember is we hear this huge sound, and then him bursting through the trees and bushes, bleeding, his shirt's torn apart, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And I see his mom and everybody else go, what's going on? What happened? Were you attacked by a lion, a mountain lion, what? And he goes, he was in shock, from what had happened. And he wouldn't talk for at least an hour or so. Once they calmed him down, because I was like, ooh, what's going on?
You're a kid, yeah.
So anyway, what ended up happening was he left, he walked up, and who knows how far away he went. And he came across an open clearing out in the woods somewhere. And he was at one side, and as he looked at the other side of the open clearing, and there was something sitting down on a fallen tree, and it was eating. He said it was like reddish brown, and he goes, I thought it was a bear. It looked like it was eating a deer or something. And so he goes, I wanted to get a closer look. So he starts walking towards it. Again, I guess there was some distance between them. And as he's slowly making up there, because you see a deer, let's not make no noise. Everybody, let's try to get as close as you can to it. Well, he did this. And as he was getting closer, I guess he stepped on a stick. And it broke. At that moment, whatever it was turned around and looked right at him. And he said, that was no bear. He goes, bears don't turn around like that. And the next thing he said is the thing stood up and turned around completely. And that's when he knew this definitely wasn't a bear.
Oh my God.
So he turned around and was running. He says that as he was running back, he could hear whatever this thing was. And it wasn't trying to catch him, but it was trying to make sure that it didn't deviate from his its path, because he wanted it to leave, or wanted Bobby to leave, I guess. So whenever Bobby would try going this way, it would be over here, so he'd come back on this road. If he tried going that way, he'd jump over here again, because apparently these things are quick.
Yeah, no, they are.
That's what I hear. And then if you're 7 to 8, 9 feet tall, whatever these things are, you're gonna have a stride.
Yeah.
So he said it basically was on either side, or as far as he knows, might could have been two. Now that we think about it, And so anyway, he's running down this trail or something. Every branch and everything's just grabbing onto his clothes.
Okay, that's why he's like bleeding and ripped up. Okay.
Yep, and it's whipping him in the face. And when he finally got to us, he goes, I don't know when it left me. He goes, because I didn't lose it. It decided, okay, I'm done. And he went through. He came plowing through there. That's when I turned around, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" And we were there for I think 3-4 days. He never left that camp again.
Oh yeah, I don't blame him.
He was done, and then as I'm sure, he never went camping again after that period. He goes, whatever's in those woods, he goes, I never want to run into it again. So That's what happened there. That's the closest I've ever been to,
like a Bigfoot
thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's the story. The other thing that happened was this one was last year.
Really?
So my family and I, we decided, hey, we meet up with an old friend of mine. We're gonna go to Utah for Thanksgiving. So but before we did that, he goes, hey, you want to go to Area 51? So I'm like, hey, why not?
Wait, it's in Utah? That was in Nevada.
No, it's in Nevada. But before we go to Utah,
Oh, okay.
So I took like 7 days vacation. Mm-hmm. So I said one of the first 2 days we're gonna stay in Vegas with him, and we're gonna run up to, do our own little things. And he'd always wanted to go there. He lives in Vegas. He's never been there. And it's better because I guess if you get a tour, have a company take you, it's like $50 or something, and it's a 2-hour drive with nothing. So we go up there and we visit the little alien, and it's pretty funny and interesting. And we go around, buy some stupid souvenirs, and then I drive off and go to that gate that everybody's like saying, if you go past this gate, you're gonna get
like
arrested or you're shot, whatever. And it says, don't take a picture of this sign. So I took a picture of that sign.
There we go.
Exactly. I go, I'm on this side. So, so I do all that. We come back and we meet up and, we joke around and finally, okay, it's time to go home. We're back to his house. Mm-hmm. We're going back to Vegas, and the sky looked, how sometimes you look, there's like blue and orange and different colors. So we're like, wow. And so his car's in front of mine, and my wife is next to me, and my son and daughter in the back, and she's asleep, my daughter. And I go, you should take a picture of the sky, because right now, she goes, I was just thinking that. So as soon as she says that, off to my left, now mind you, prior to that, there's a plane going this way, and then there's another plane going this way. And they were, a very good distance off, but you could tell what they were.
Yeah, they're planes.
You can see the planes. You can see their blinker lights going on because they have to have the running lights on, per the FAA. And so we're like, okay. So as soon as she says that, all of a sudden in my left corner, I look up, and one light appears, and then right after that, another light appeared right behind it. And my wife goes, "What is that?" And I go, "I don't know." Mm-hmm. Right? Now it was a clear day. There was hardly any clouds, but you could see, these things were closer to us than those two planes, but yet I could still see what they were. Now in my mind, the investigative side says, okay, these things usually only last no more than maybe, 10, 20 seconds, maybe a minute if you're lucky. So all of a sudden I'm starting to get, okay, there's these things over here, I'm seeing this plane, I see this plane, I'm trying to gauge the distance between them. I see that this one's a lot closer to us, and the lights are as bright as, when you see the sheriff helicopter with their little, night light. But that thing was that bright. Damn. Right? But it wasn't as close to me. It was, it was a distance, but it was a lot closer than the planes. And so I'm looking at this and trying to gauge, and they're just slowly moving. It wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a balloon, it wasn't. Because as soon as I was done, we'll just say it took 10, 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. Those lights turned off. And I told her, where'd they go? Yeah. Because all of a sudden, the area they were in, there was nothing there. It was completely empty. Mm-hmm. And she goes, I don't know. Now my son looked over. He did the same thing. Yeah. He looks up and he's like, what was that? I go, I don't know. Now what I tell people is this. I don't know what those things were. But I can tell you what they weren't. Yeah. If it was a plane, because I know when my friend, my skeptic friend goes, planes have headlights. And I go, yes, I do. But that would mean that I would have seen them coming towards us. Yeah. When those lights disappeared, we didn't see them go up, down, backwards, nothing. It just, like they never existed. I don't know how fast they went or whatever. They just disappeared in the blink of an eye. So, I don't know.
That's crazy.
So that's the weirdest thing when it comes to UFOs. Yeah. But outside of that, going back to haunts, do I think there's something out there? Yes. Yeah. I have another friend who lives up in San Francisco, and she goes up to the Winchester house. And I guess there's stuff in there. I've never been there.
Hell yeah, there is, yeah.
And supposedly, but she's like me, she used to be, when you get into the paranormal, you're like a full-time believer. You drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah. I believe it all. Nothing is wrong.
Nothing's wrong, yeah.
But then as you go on, you start seeing things. You're like, no, I'm not, I'm going to question everything. And we're both at the point of, I kind of not believe certain things, but there's things that have happened to me that I have no explanation for, and until I can find the answer to that, I'm always going to be a believer. You know, and so we have that same type of thought, and you know, she has the same. You know, we just believe the same way.
Yeah.
But I tell people, I go, just think about it. Put it in perspective. This way, how maybe there is something out there. Go back to as far back as you want to go back, Roman times.
Yeah.
You know, maybe even prior to that. Now imagine all the people that have died from that time frame to the present. Okay? Do you think the amount of people that have passed completely outnumber the amount of people that are currently living on the planet right now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. There has to be somewhere there. You know, that's why I say there's probably more to this than what we know.
Yeah.
You know, you always see ghost hunters and all those TV shows go hunt in the dark, you know, at nighttime, because they say at 3 a.m. things happen.
Yes.
And that's kind of, might be true, might not be, but I like going during the daytime because, I mean, it's not like it's there, oh, you know, they're all sleeping.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
no, it's nighttime, it's time to go out and spook the living.
Yeah.
No, I think that, you know, I've gone out in the middle of nowhere, like towards Death Valley, and we saw like an old abandoned shack off the side of the road. So my buddy and I go, hey, let's just go, let's test this.
Yeah.
And so we pulled off, and it was windy that day. I took my voice recorder, the one that you saw, and I went in this cabin, and there was a mattress in there, and the place had already been, you know, smaller than this room, and it had been dilapidated, already fallen apart. And I go, is there anybody here? Do you want to make contact? You know, what's your name? And then I went back, and in the middle of all of it, once I put on my headset, you can hear the wind, but somewhere in that wind, there's a voice that came through. I don't know what that voice is.
It's just like a whisper. Like
it was like a whisper, but you could hear it.
Muffled.
Yeah, but you could hear it. And again, you also had the wind coming in, and you know, could it have been the wind? It might have, but when you hear that tape or hear that recording, you can see one over the other.
Okay.
You know, so like I said, if you don't need the nighttime to go.
Yeah.
You know, to look at stuff. There's stuff all around us at all times of the day.
I was I remember one time, like, it was like at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I just got home from school, and hold on, how's the time on there? Is it like going down?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, how much time is left?
63 minutes, 43 seconds.
63?
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
No, I thought you said 3 minutes.
I know, I was about to say, yo, we gotta wrap it up. Sorry, guys. That voice you're hearing is my good friend Mickey. You guys have seen him in my other videos and stuff like that. I think I keep being in like 1 or 2 videos in there.
I know Midsummer Scream.
Midsummer Scream videos. Like when I first started, the very first Midsummer Scream I went to, he was my date. He was an awesome date, ladies. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so yeah, as I was
that's why I keep looking at whenever I'm looking over here.
Exactly.
Just so you know, there's somebody over here. I'm not just
keep dazing off into the distance. And so yeah, it was like around 4 o'clock, and like I just got home from school, and I'm like watching TV in the living room, and I hear a conversation of people that are not there towards the back of my room, and everyone tried saying that like,
it's back to the living room again.
Exactly. I'm in the living room, and it's like towards like where my parents' room is at, all the way in the back. I'm hearing a conversation. My dad, like, because he's the one that caught me, like when I went outside, and I was just like out there, you know, just shaking, trying to drink a soda, and I'm like, oh my god, and everything like that. And he's like telling me it was probably just the neighbors, because sometimes we can hear them talk because they're loud as fuck. And but no, it wasn't them, because they only speak Spanish. So this is like a conversation in English. And so I was just like, I forgot what the guy was saying. I heard, what do you think about, and then like I hear like another voice going, yeah, no, yeah. And like it was just like, and then they started mumbling, like going in and out, like the volume was like going up and down, and it was just like this and that. And I was just like, there's no one home. I'm the only one here. And I'm like, hello? And I just keep hearing the conversation keep going and going, and the guy, and whoever the guy is talking to, he's obviously agreeing with him, like everything he's saying. He's like, yeah, no, yeah. And so I'm just like, fuck this, I'm outside. And I just kicked it out there until my dad came home, and he was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, there's a ghost in there. And he's like, stop being a pussy, and stuff like that. And it's like, he was just, we just went up in there, and then I haven't heard anything since. I've had other experiences though, but it's crazy though. You're right. Any time of the day, it doesn't have to be at night. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even have to be at 3 a.m. I tried doing like little Zach Bagans, with a tape recorder. I felt like I was all professional because for a while, like my cousin lived with us. She stayed in the room where my brother used to stay before he moved out, and she would always complain that like I would put a picture on this shelf and it would be on that shelf. I'd close the door when I sleep, and then I wake up and it's open. I leave the door open when I sleep. I wake up and it's closed, and it's just random stuff. Some pictures fall down. Some pictures, are on the floor and everything like that. Some things that I put up there are now on this other shit. Just things moving around that they're not supposed to. And so with that, when you're hearing that, I was like, you know what? Like let's bust like little like ghost adventures over here. So I got a tape recorder, and I'm like trying to sound all professional. If there's any spirits in here, please make yourself present. And just talking to this like little red button right here, and I just left it in there. Me and my cousin, we just went out to go grab some like food and everything like that. We're gonna come right back. We're gone for about like maybe like 2 hours. I come back in, like listen to the whole 2 hours just to make sure, and it's nothing. I'm thinking like, man, there ain't no man, she's just like fucking like lying and stuff like that. She wants attention. And so then as I'm about to like put it down, I hear like a. It's me. I was like, it sounded like it was saying like, said like a name, and then like, it's me. And I was like, oh God, what the hell? So I'm like, all right, there's still like 5 more minutes left. Let me listen to the rest. And then then the last 2 minutes, I hear a lady humming. And I was like, what the fuck? It's scary. I'd like to believe it was my grandma because she died in our house, and she liked to sing a lot. So I was like, I'm hearing a lady humming. It's probably her. It's probably a friendly ghost, you know what I mean? And we've had experience where we smell her perfume out of nowhere. Yeah. They don't make her perfume anymore. That thing has been around since like ever, and like when they discontinued it, you do like put the water in it, like shake it up, and like still try to use it and everything like that. So smelling that and around the house was just like random as hell. So I'd like it was just random in the day too. Yeah, it's just like you're saying, it doesn't have to be at night. Guys, you don't have to wait till nighttime. You can still do some ghost hunting before you got to go on that early morning shift. It's Yeah. Now, do you recommend just like anyone going ghost hunting, or do you recommend okay, so you don't recommend just like when me and my friend Mickey leave, we can't just go ghost hunting. We should be with someone like you, or be with someone like what would you say?
There's just some people that shouldn't be there.
Okay.
Oh, that's my point again. So what it is again, it's some people are very susceptible.
Yeah.
Some people will freak out. I mean, something happens and all of a sudden you have this person, becoming the screaming Mimi.
Okay.
Everything. Doesn't matter what it is, the chair moves a little bit, probably kicked by you, all of a sudden he's thinking it's a ghost.
Yeah.
Not everybody should go. In the parent community, they refuse to take anybody who's less than 18 years old with them, because they say children are more susceptible, because supposedly as you grow up, you hit a certain spot in your your younger years or towards your teen years where, let's say, the window opens, and it's at that point that you can suddenly feel, kind of like what happened to me. I was only 13 or 12.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these things start happening. So I was so much open. But then you end up closing because people tell you, oh, that's fake. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You start believing in it, so you shut yourself down. So some people, like I said, I have a friend who's he's psychic as a brick. Doesn't feel nothing. But it just depends, because some people tend to bring things home with them.
Okay.
So, I've met some people, and it seems that everybody that's in the paranormal apparently has at one point or another brought something home, or someone home.
Yeah.
A tag along, like the kinds that you see at Disney, the 3 damn ghosts. That
and a ghost would follow you.
Yeah, well, that's what they feel. I think that's what ended up happening to me at the house that I used to live in again in Fontana, because that thing was stone cold fuck nuts.
Yeah.
Right, that house. Even before, I'll explain what happened there before I actually started doing the event, going into ghost hunting.
Yeah.
Prior to this event, I just believed in them.
Yeah.
I read books because I like the spooky stories. I watched the movies. I watched the History Channel, and just because I like a good story sometimes, even if I have to read it. There's one time, I think it was Sunday, and right around 7 in the morning, and in my room, before you could go into our room, there seems like could be that one loose board that when you step on it,
just creaks.
Yeah, it creaks. Somebody's walking in the room, and so I wake up, I hear somebody walk in our room. So I get up and I just move, pick up my head. Then I see a little girl running.
Oh, God.
Okay, running with long hair, and I can still see her now. She's running, and I'm tracking her. I'm thinking it's my daughter. So I'm tracking her, and I'm watching her, and she runs up to the side of the bed, right? While it runs up right up to me, and then all of a sudden, last moment, does this. At this point, I already know it's not my daughter. I grabbed my pillow, and I threw it at it.
Yeah.
All right? This thing jumped off to the left, and
like dodging it and everything.
Yeah, and it did it again, and then I guess I threw the pillow one last time, and then gone.
That's
Disappeared. And so then I go over and I hit my wife. Pow! And she's like, what? And I go, she was asleep. Did you just see what I saw? But again, she was asleep. But I'm over here completely freaking out.
Yeah.
What the hell just came through here? Because I thought it was my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I run over and check on her. Dead asleep.
Dead asleep.
Not dead, but
you know what I mean.
Yeah. But and so she comes over, and it's just one of those things that and then that's what got me going into my buddy then invites me to, hey, let's go to a tombstone. There's a ghost thing going on with my friends. Runs a team. We want to go? And I go, he goes, that's my gift to you. And I go, sure, why not? It might explain this. So there's that. There's a place up in Big Bear, and I can't remember the exact name of the hotel. It's an inn or something. It starts with the letter B. Just Google it, look for haunted hotels or inns in Big Bear. It starts with the letter B, if I'm correct. I can't remember the name of it exactly. And I know when we went there, the lady was selling it because she was, getting ready to retire. So it's probably under new management. Mm-hmm. But we went there to go, we asked her, hey, can we, investigate your hotel? She goes, yeah, no problem. So we went there, and we're on the bottom floor just talking. It was myself, 2 other guys, and a girl. And the lady was in the room. And so I had my voice recorder running because the minute I walked in there, I wanted to make sure, something happens, I want to catch it. Mm-hmm. So I had my voice recorder running, and the other ones had their voice recorders running. And so we're talking, and the girl said something to me. I can't remember the exact joke, but I said something back. He laughed, my other friend laughed, I laughed, she didn't, and then another laugh. Right?
Oh shit, okay.
And so we're like, and for some reason when you hear a voice on voice that's not here, those voices tend to sound kind of like hi-fi, what it seems like to me. Mm-hmm. So you and I speak in mono, and that thing comes out in hi-fi. There's a difference in the tone.
Yeah.
And it's a clearer sound, sometimes, but it's just different. And so I called my buddy, hey, did you get this? He goes, yeah. I go through your voice recorder at this time. He goes through and goes, who was that? And I go, it wasn't me, because I knew, I could tell everybody's voice. And at that time, my friend David, he goes, you know what? I picked it up too on my voice recorder. The girl, who's the skeptic of the team, goes, she says, I didn't get it on mine, but she would listen to us on our, listen to the voice recorders from all the 3 of us. She goes, that's me. And I'm like, no, that's not you. Mm-hmm. There's no way that's you, because that laugh is of a man. You're you're a woman. Yeah. And you didn't laugh. Why is it that we picked it up and yours didn't? So we investigated that location, and there was one point when we were there, we all, after most of the night, we were sitting at one end of a room, and she was by herself at the other end, and the door was right there. Mm-hmm. Going to the hallway. So all of a sudden she walks over to us, white as sin, right? And she goes, And we're like, what's wrong with you? I tell her that. And I go, what's going on? She goes, she couldn't talk. And so the other guys goes, what's going on? And she goes, there's somebody standing at the doorway. She goes, what do you mean? So Jason, he goes over and he walks in and goes, there's nobody there. Mm-hmm. She goes, I was sitting down, and then I had I was tying my shoes, and you know when you're bent down.
Yeah.
And then she goes, she looked up, and all she saw was from the knee down. And she goes, it was brown slacks. It was of those nice type of shoes.
Yeah.
But it was whatever was standing there looking at her. And she couldn't look up any higher because she was already freaking out, because she looked over to her left and we were all over there. She goes, so whoever this was, she goes, she automatically knew it wasn't us, because one, whatever it was in slacks. Mm-hmm. And we were in torn pants.
Yeah.
You know. So that's when she walked over. We picked up some other stuff in that building, you know, but like I said, my team that I've been with, there were teams that I was with and currently no longer, you know, was running. We've investigated all the way from California to Paris, France.
That's right. You were telling me about that at the night
catacombs.
of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd investigated the catacombs in Paris, and if you ever look up the catacombs, there's supposed to be up to 6 million people buried down there. Now it's what it's stacked. You know, basically it's just arms and leg bones and skulls. You won't see rib cages. You won't see hip bones or this structure.
It's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah. You won't see hands. What you'll see are the big main bones, the knees, maybe some of this, and of course the head. But there's no spines. And what they did was they back when Paris was still a small town or something, they would bury these people when they died, because Paris, I think, was only maybe 5 miles big at that time compared to what it is now. So on the outskirts, they would bury the people, but back then they didn't bury them 6 feet. They would only bury them like a foot, 2 feet under, and then somewhere during the night, the stink would come out through the dirt. So they said, we got to do something about this. So they built these catacombs. Then at night, monks would go around and get the dead and put them on these carts and haul them over, and then they just dump the dead in there, and then once a room was filled, they lock it up and move away, and then fill another catacomb. And then somewhere along the way, the country, and if you want more information, look it up on Google, just put catacombs, they'll give you the whole thing. But they decided to make it into a tour thing, so then they went back in there again, cleaned it up, stacked them in different formations, and now they look nice and neat. But there's still places that they don't open.
Yeah.
And so when you go to Paris, you can take a tour at the catacombs. I think it's been a while, $10-$20 to go in. Mm-hmm. And that's a self-guided tour. But you can tell because...
Self-guided.
Yeah. And I think it's a tour that lasts... It's a 2 or 3 mile tour. But you can't get lost, but you can see when they were putting the bodies and stacking them up and everything correctly, mm-hmm. you can see that the torches that they used back then would burn the ceiling, so you can see like a black streak of the smoke going right across the ceiling. So if you ever get lost, just look up there and follow those streaks.
Okay.
Right, but you're not going to get lost, But
I heard somewhere that they don't do any more self tour. Is that still going on, or?
Maybe it's changed since I was there.
Yeah,
because I know you could go. You probably could get your own tour guide, and they'll walk around with you and tell you this, and that. Mm-hmm. We went there, and just follow a bunch of people in line, and you're going through your stuff. But it might have changed.
Yeah.
But we went down there, and I decided, usually when you go in there, people in the paranormal do like a prayer of protection, and
the saint. Something with a B.
Yeah, I forget it. But
my friend, she went to the Zach Bagans Museum, and her mom made her wear the necklace with that penum. Well, not penum, but that symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Zach Bagans, his museum, they make you sign a waiver.
Yeah.
Which I think is ridiculous for $45, but they make you sign a waiver that if anything follows you home because of whatever he has in that building, you can't hold them liable. You can't hold them liable for anything anyway.
Yeah.
Because people have tried to go to court saying, "Oh, my house is haunted because of you," and the courts are like,
How do you prove a haunting?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's houses that are registered historic haunted locations.
Yeah.
There's one in San Diego called the Whaley House. If you ever go down there, and that one is really haunted, and I've heard all sorts of stuff come out of there.
Nice.
But there's that's one of the few places that's considered, that is on the register as being haunted. In the country. And so, but I went back to the catacombs. I went down there, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to do a prayer of protection. I'm just going to go in there naked. Just whatever comes at me, and I think that was the worst mistake I did that day, because I went in there, and I could literally feel or see things walking next to me, and everybody all these names of people coming at me. Kind of like, again, saying, hey, that one can hear me.
Yeah.
So I was getting all these names, Pierre, Jean, whatever, over and over. And I think I explained to you the best way I could tell you how I felt throughout that whole talk is go to Dodger Stadium, stand on the pitching mound by yourself, and then imagine the whole stadium full of people.
Just staring at you. And
then all at the same time, everybody throwing a ball at you.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? You had to stay there. So that's what it was like. I was me and on the pitcher's mound, everybody throwing balls, and I was just getting it over and over again. By the time I walked out of there, I was so tired. Mentally, I was mentally just wiped out, because I said I won't do that again. Because I really felt that I walked out of there with whatever it was, people just yelling, and I mean, there was a point where I even heard a woman scream. And I said, oh my God, can you stop? And one of my friends looked at me and goes, what's going on? I go, did you not hear that? And they go, no, what are you talking about? It was meant for me, that scream. And I was like, I'm done. And towards the end, I was actually literally just rushing through to get out.
Just to hurry it up.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm finished, So then we move it back here to the East Coast. I've gone to places in the East Coast and done some investigations out there. And then, you start moving in. Kentucky, we've done Tennessee, we've done Kansas. There's the Sally House, which is, according to some people, demonic, or whatever's in there is not a very friendly ghost, or whatever it is. Go there, then go back to Arizona. And like I said, for me, Arizona's been a gold mine. And then you come back here to California, which is kind of harder to get into because it's California. Not all the businesses want to be known as haunted.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of the places that people want to go into, they can't, because it's Hollywood. And so they just won't let you. The only way you get into those places is if you know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, anywhere you go, you'll find something. I mean, is there any? I know there's somewhere else. I'm thinking. I'm kind of drawing a blank. So you go for it.
One thing I wanted to talk about with the catacombs, though, I remember you said something that they closed it down for a while. I remember you told me that story. That what kind of freaked me out.
They closed. We were there. I think it was in 2009. And so we were there, and then a day later, we heard that the catacombs were closed. And so we tried to figure out why is it suddenly closed, because they said they'd be open. And apparently, or maybe a couple of days after that, apparently somebody or something happened down there. Somebody went in there, did some kind of, I guess, satanic ritual.
Yeah.
And it completely got out of hand. As to exactly what happened down there, I'm not sure. All I know is that the police cordoned it off. They didn't allow nobody in. They wouldn't talk about it. And they
it was
kept
kind of like
it
a word of mouth type of thing.
Yeah, and so, but the only thing that did come out was somebody went in there during the night, did some kind of ritual, and not exactly sure what happened to them. All I know is whatever it was enough to freak everybody out.
Yeah.
They shut it down.
That's crazy.
So,
you're talking about being blessed and everything like that before you go into. Is that like a pretty common routine that you do now?
A lot of teams will do that. A lot of people, especially if you have a sensitive, which is considered a psychic or a medium, you have to have, everybody will go in and bless themselves. They'll meditate. Others will do a prayer of protection. And there's another prayer, I think, from Saint Gabriel, but I don't know exactly. I may be off.
There's one of Saint Gabriel, Saint Michael, and Saint.
I know that one, Saint Michael. They do.
I forgot some of the B. It's like a really like European sounding name. Like I can't like really come across it.
But they do that because one, they want to be protected from whatever's inside there, and two, they don't want to take something home with them.
Yeah.
You know, does it work? I don't know, because it seems like I said, a lot of people tend to have things suddenly happen at their houses.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my house suddenly just, was already active, and it just, I don't know if something followed me or it became that much more active. But it seemed like whatever it was a little girl. There was once when I was watching TV upstairs, my wife and my daughter were watching the Chiller channel, right? It's pure horror movies.
Yeah.
And they made it their routine every Sunday to watch a horror movie. And this is around, I would say, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm watching TV, and I hear the movie ended, and I hear them. And I hear my wife talking, I hear my daughter talking. And then out of nowhere, remember how I said that's their voices sound,
It's the high five.
like high five. All of a sudden I hear a laugh. And I, in my head, automatically I go, shit. I go, here we go. And I could hear the girls, because they heard it.
Yeah.
And they go, what was that?
Oh, God.
And they're like, no, what did you hear?
Yeah.
And so I went down there, and they go, did you hear what we heard? And I go, oh, that was outside.
Yeah.
But they knew.
Yeah, they knew it was up.
They knew.
It's almost like it's funny the way you explain it. It's kind of like how like most people are at their house when like they see like a cockroach in the kitchen. They're like, fuck, now I gotta deal with this. See if there's any more and stuff like that. Like, not to say like spirits are cockroaches, but
yeah,
you got to deal with it now. Now you have to deal with it, and it's tiring, both emotionally and physically. And which is another thing I want to bring up too, because you always see like Zach Bagans. We're bringing up that dude a lot, but he's like kind of like one of like the big like hot shots in the paranormal. I guess I would say that because I'm a big fan of him and I have like a secret crush for him. But it's he's like, you always like see like, remember the intros, like you'd see him like pounding on the walls and stuff like that and everything like that. Do you believe that's like a thing? Like, not just, if you don't, we're not trying to say that he's like a fake, but have you ever experienced that? Like your emotions just kind of change out of nowhere and you just can't explain it.
In the community, he is viled,
Okay.
And some people like him. He has his fans.
Yeah.
You have other people who absolutely hate him.
Really?
I am not a fan of him.
Okay.
I tend to think he over dramatizes a lot of what goes on. I understand. I get it. He's on TV. You have to do something that's going to call the fans and get the attention. I understand that stuff, but I think a lot of it, he has done things that in groups think, like, for example, yelling, they go, I dare you to come out here.
Yeah.
You're like, no, don't do that.
Okay. He's kind of like setting off like a wrong message.
Exactly. And I think he over dramatizes things. Do I think there's stuff that he's done that I think is fake? Yes.
Really?
Do others believe that same thing? Yes. Same thing like with ghost hunters. The plumbers.
Yeah.
Same thing. I've met a few of them. I've gotten to know some of them.
Mm-hmm.
The guys on TV. And some are cool, but then there's others who are just dicks.
Yeah.
There was one, for example, the bald guy from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, the main.
I forget his name. Not Grant. Grant is the skinnier guy at the beginning. And anyway, you can look it up on YouTube. You'll find Google. But he came out, and we had done a charity event in Pennsylvania or in Philadelphia, and there's a place called Fort Mifflin, right? Beautiful history, dates back to the Revolutionary War, but it's haunted, right? Supposedly. And he went down there. Now, mind you, I may be off a little bit because it's been a few years. So we went down there, did a charity event, but it was, a haunted thing. You come down, you get to investigate it, and all the money that we make
goes
right back into the fort.
Oh, okay, nice.
Right? Every bit of it. We didn't take anything of it for ourselves. The guys who put it together, nothing. It all went right back. So we ended up making, again, it's been years. So I think we ended up making like $15,000, maybe $20,000.
Nice. Okay.
And that's over I think it was a 2-day event. All of it went right back into the fort so they could help rebuild it, and it's a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that. So then I guess a year prior to us, I think it was, and he has a TV show on it.
Mm-hmm.
They went over there. They did the same thing we did, right? But of course they have the big name, they had the cameras, and they ended up raising right around $100,000.
Nice.
Okay, that's what they raised. The amount they gave back to the fort was, I think, only around a couple thousand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think they gave them more than $3,000 out of $100,000. Right? And then they went in there and they started saying, "Oh, because of us, we helped save the fort." I was like, "You guys only did this." So we ended up getting into a bitching contest with him.
Yeah.
We went back and forth. He goes, "Look, we did this, and this is what we did. Here's, you can even go look at the fort, and they'll tell you this is what was donated.
Yeah.
This is what we made. This is what we donated. And it matches, penny for penny. You guys went over there. You guys could have done so much more with all this,
Yeah, you could have gave more, basically. Yeah.
And you made $100,000, and all you gave was a couple thousand. And you go, what did you really do?
Mm-hmm.
Because just to replace some of those window panes at that location cost $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah.
So they're trying to rebuild the whole thing, right? And so he got into a pissing contest, and my buddy still has the screen caps and the text messages, and I can always get it from him when I want. And this, you could hear the bald guy, the guy says, "Well, I don't sign the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
My people do." So then I remember jumping in and goes, "You being who you are, you just let people blindly sign your name to anything?"
Yeah.
And not even worry about it. All you cared about was a check.
Yeah.
And so that went further. So, it blew up into a big thing with them, and I never cared for them.
Yeah, I feel you.
There's some people, like I said, there's people in there who are pretty cool people.
Yeah.
Then you got your ones like Zach, who I just think play it up too much. And again, each of those shows, if you want, you have Ghost Hunters, you have Taps, you have all these, they have their followers, and then they have their,
They're
not
like
followers,
yeah.
And so, but I've dealt with a few of them, and I've walked away thinking, this guy's an ass.
Yeah.
Or these people are fuckers, right? I got a couple friends of them who were on the show, Ghost Hunters, and I love them to death. And I still talk to them to this day.
That's good, man.
But they no longer do the ghost hunting thing, but they do something else, and they're just real cool people, and I love them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while they do something, that's ghost hunting, but they're not trying to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't follow what you see on TV and say, I'm going to do it because they do that.
Yeah.
Like I said, you'll be stuck. What they do in 30 minutes or an hour, it's actually 8 hours worth of just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
In the paranormal community, like I told your buddy, there's a lot of infighting. They call this thing para-unity. We're all in the same thing. We're all do the same thing. We're trying to find the answer to whatever this is. But yet they're all fighting. It's like, if I have a haunted location, I keep it to myself. I ain't going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have one, you're not going to tell me. And the only locations we're going to go to is the one that's known. For example, the Winchester House. Hey, we're going to go. Yeah, let's all go there. We do investigation. But when it comes to going to, your house, or your neighbor's house, no, I ain't telling, because they're all hoping that whatever they find in that house leads to TV shows, stardom, fame. That's what they do it for.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them do. There's some who do it because they want to help whoever's still stuck here. There's others who are just curious and want to know what, is there something there? Is there not something there? Why are you here? Why are you not here? Then you have your skeptics, and you have to have them because they need to level the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't have them, everybody's going to run down the street screaming, ghost, 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 everything here, there, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, UFO, UFO. You need those skeptics to kind of say, hey, wait, you're out of your mind. You got to relax on it. So like for Zach Baggins, he has a museum in Vegas. It's $45 to get in.
Yeah.
And my buddy went in and he goes, it's dark. He goes, everything in there's dark. There's almost no light. He goes, and then they're rushing you through.
Yeah.
When you do the tour, so you're like, I'm paying $45. I should be allowed to kind of take my time.
Yeah.
You know, but they're pushing you through, and then when you're done, you're like, what the heck?
It's like, what did I really witness?
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have time to like actually like absorb in what you saw. Like, you know, most museums you can read the plaque, you can look at you can really examine.
Yeah, because they kept trying to rush my buddy through there, and he's like, I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, it's ridiculous. You know, now if you go to the Murder Museum in Hollywood, I've heard there's stuff going on in there.
Which one? The Museum of Death?
Yeah.
The one with the skull and the roses all over it? That place is freaky. I went there with my girlfriend. We went there as...
I've yet to go there.
Honestly, dude, I think it's like $25 a person or like $20 a person. It's worth any penny because you learn some crazy shit in there.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty graphic.
That too, yes. There's like literally like a photo collage, I guess you would say, on the wall of like this one couple that like this girl murdered her husband with her like side dude, you know what I mean? Like this, like,
yeah,
like, you know, she was cheating on her husband, and the dude like convinced her to like murder him. You know what I mean? And they took like Polaroid pictures, and these are
what they were doing,
of what they did, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I told my lady, I was like, if you ever wanted to go with another dude, don't ever think I'm holding you back. Don't chop me up. It's fine. I'll go on Christian Mingle. I'll be good. You don't have to feel like I'm trapping you or anything like that. She was like, why would you say that? And then she was like, look
because of this.
Look at the hell we're looking at right now. You telling me that that's not gonna make any dude freak out? Especially when they get down to certain areas.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they show all of that, dude. Like it was horrible. It's just it's a real like kind of literally like you I don't know. There's certain areas where you kind of do like question your own mortality, I guess. You know, because we all know we're gonna die. You go into the Museum of Death because you're interested in it and you already have the idea that like we all die. All right, it's whatever's. But maybe I'm the only one because like I'm kind of like sensitive. But you go in there and you see everything, and then like there's like certain exhibits about other stuff, and it gets kind of touchy, and you're not anything where you're gonna cry about. But then you start leaving, and you're just all like, just like that. You're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. And then it's like, and then also you think also just like that. Alrighty, folks. So sorry about that. We lost some stuff right now. The battery died, and I had to let it charge for a little bit. But
spokes.
Yeah. You know, it's weird that like, you know, the battery died as we're talking about ghosts and stuff like that. And we just discussed earlier that like they drain batteries. Who knows? Is this studio place haunted? We don't know. We'll find out later. So you wanted, I remember you wanted to bring up something. Yeah.
So what we're talking about is we were talking about Ouija board, and then there's a new version, or you could say a new version called the electronic Ouija board is what they call it. It's also called a spirit box. It was first, created by a man named Frank Sumption. He would make a box where it scans radio frequencies, and supposedly the faster, or depending on how fast you dial it, a ghost would be able to speak through it. Kind of like that movie White Noise that came out, but except that deals with TV. This one deals with radios. And so what happened was, he created Frank's, and he created a bunch of these boxes, which are now sought after, and they run for the thousands if they ever see them on eBay. And so Frank passed away a few years ago, and he made these boxes called Frank's Box. Well, another friend of mine, who has also passed away, he also made something called a Joe's Box. And he did the same thing, but the difference was where Frank, he would build his boxes, each one is different from the last. Joe's box, Joe was more into, he was a really good engineer, electrical engineer, and so he made these boxes. They all look alike. There's no difference in them, except he would number them. So what ended up happening was, with these boxes, you hack into a radio and kind of, break it to a certain extent, what the skeptics call a broken radio, and you would talk, ask you questions, and if there was a spirit on the other side, they would come back and reply. Now, I've seen some of these things work, and some of them are absolutely, nothing happens. But there's some that really left my mind thinking, what the heck am I hearing? because in some of these they've said the names of friends that were with me, and they've said the last names of the friends when it wasn't a common name. So we were always thinking, well, maybe there's somebody across the street and they're, speaking through it or whatnot. But nobody would always have these names. So Joe, before he passed away, gave me one of his boxes, and this is what it's called. It's called a Joe's box. And so he would create these, and these things, when the paranormal community can fetch anywhere between, at the minimum, $1,500 to as high as almost $3,000 to $4,000. One of my friends recently had one, and he sold his for $2,000. And basically, just to give you an idea, this is the volume, and up here is the sweep to make the frequencies go faster. So I decided, I'll bring this, I'll show it to him to see what they do. Now, does it mean it'll work? No, because like anybody, you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So, but just give you, this is what it sounds like. So I'm going to put up the antenna on this. And have I ever used it in ghost hunt? I've used it once or twice. But I don't use it for anything else. It's more like this, just to show people what these things do. So we're going to turn this one on. And so what you hear is how fast it scans through. And supposedly, as this thing is scanning, because you can adjust the rate up here, in the paranormal community, they go through them and they ask you questions. So if you want it to be slower, and what it does, it's going through the radios, the radio stations. It's usually AM where they do better. And so you would ask it a question. So let's see if it works. I'm not gonna say it has, because I haven't adjusted nothing.
Now, before we start this, would this radio thing is this thing giving off anything to attract ghosts to it, or is it just giving whatever ghosts are present already the ability to speak better?
I think it's the second one.
Okay, so just whatever ghosts are around, it just gives them the ability to speak better.
So if there were something here, right? Again, all hypothetical. We don't know what this is. And I've laughed at some of these things as well, but there's been a few instances, like I said, just really had me shaking my head later. So let's see. Let's see if there's a musician or something out here.
I know, right?
Let me see if I can find a good scan that's not too fast. So, you would ask just like you would do with the voice recorder. Is there anybody that would like to talk to us? You wait. So I thought I heard a yes.
I thought that too. Okay.
Okay. And go, do you have a name? Rich? Okay. So, supposedly we have a name. Have you been here before? Maybe I didn't get anything there. Do you want to talk to us? One bar.
Okay.
So whatever's here, if there's something here, is wiping out your battery.
I know, right? It's just Okay.
But that's how these things work. I mean, that's what some of these guys use.
Yeah.
And supposedly there's a whole ritual about when you turn these, before you turn it off, you gotta say, hey, wherever you're from, you gotta go back to where you're at, so as not to trap them on our side of the world.
Yeah.
But that's what they say.
So,
but
do we have to do that now?
No, I mean, for me, I just turn them off. We're done. Because I'm not one of those who really thinks that these things may actually work.
Yeah.
100%. I'm being hypocritical saying I don't believe in them, but I've had some weird experiences on them.
Yeah.
Because I'm being honest with it. But I thought, hey, I'll bring this out and show you what one of these things do.
That's really interesting. That's really crazy right there. In a good way. I don't mean that's amazing right there. I am paranoid, so I'm gonna be on a note. If there's anything in here, y'all gotta go back. I'm sorry, okay?
Alrighty, that's it, folks. Basically, you can find Luis on Instagram, Geeks and Ghosts. You can find them on their Facebook page. That's where he kind of poses up a little bit more. Geeks and Ghosts Podcast on Facebook.com. Check them out. Let them know who sent you. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. The next guest I'm going to be having up is going to be another pretty spooky guest, so stay tuned, okay?